Hello and welcome to this lecture. And in this lecture, let's work on adding the profile image to our profile page right here. So right now we don't have any profile image right here. We just have the username of the profile. And now in order to add an image over here, what you simply have to do is that you have to go to the template, which is profile.html. And in here, you simply need to add the image tag. So I'll type an image, and the source for this image is going to be equal to nothing but user.profile.image.url. So if you remember how in the previous lecture we were able to access the image of a profile, you simply type in user because that's your user model, and inside the user we want to access the profile. So we want to access the profile of the user, and in that profile we want to access the image field, and in here specifically we want the URL of that image. So I'll type in URL over here. Okay, so once you have this, your image will be loaded up. However, if you now go to the template and if you hit refresh, as you can see, you are going to get an error over here. And that's because there is one issue with using the images stored on our computer. So as I earlier mentioned, these images which we are using right here are not actually stored into the database, but they are actually stored on the server, or in this case they are stored on our computer, which means that these images which we are using over here are actually the static files. So now whenever you are working with static files, there is some modification which you need to do with your code, and that is to basically go ahead and include the URL of the directory which actually has those static files. So how exactly can you go ahead and do that, and where exactly do you need to add the URL for those static files? So for that, what you simply do is that you go to Google and you simply go ahead and search for something like uploading static files in Django. So this is going to give you a guide to work with the static files which are uploaded. So in here, if you scroll down a little bit, as you can see, it says serving files uploaded by a user during development. So which means that this is the code which you need to include in your URL patterns to be able to use those static files. So now what I will simply do here is that I'll simply copy this entire code. So just copy that. And now you need to go ahead, go to your code editor, go into the urls.py file of your main project, which is my site. So in the my site, in the urls.py, here we actually need to go ahead and paste these URL patterns. And let's just simply cut this imports from here, paste them up over here. And now, as this is also a URL pattern and we want to use these URL patterns with these patterns, what we simply do is that we make it URL patterns plus equal to, which means that these patterns are going to be added up over here. Okay, so now once we go ahead and fix that, let's see if the image is loaded up now. So if I go ahead and hit refresh, as you can see, now we actually have our image over here. So that's how you can go ahead and add your image up to your profile page. So the only thing which we have done here is that we have actually accessed the image up over here using the image URL. And the next most important thing which we have done here is that we have simply added this particular URL pattern, which basically gives us access to the static files which are uploaded by the user. So whenever you are using a user uploaded static files, you always need to make sure that you include this particular code in your urls.py file so that Django knows that you're using some static images in your website which are uploaded by the user. So that's it for this lecture, and in the next lecture we will go ahead and we will learn about having the default profile image, which means that what happens if we create some user who does not have a profile picture, and in that case we want to display a particular default profile picture. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Thank you.